Hi and welcome to Wheels of Glory, Racing OTT with World Rally Championship. I'm Heather McLean, editor at SVG Europe, and I'm here today with Florian Ruth, Director of Content and Production at WRC. Every year, WRC holds rally events around the world where teams compete to win the coveted title. We're here today to talk about how OTT has and is changing the fan base and the reach of that fan base for WRC, and also how OTT has really come into its own since the COVID-19 pandemic struck. My first question for you, Florian, is can you tell us how the pandemic has affected what WRC does? I know you've had to cancel several rallies over the last few weeks, and also when we might see those rallies coming back.
Obviously, the pandemic hit us like it hit every other championship. We were in the lucky position to have an early start of the season. We had 3 races before the pandemic really hit us. We had a very good race in Rally Monte Carlo. We had a good Rally Sweden and a good Rally Mexico. And then after Rally Mexico, we either had to cancel or to postpone every rally. And at the moment, we are looking into a restart in August with Rally Finland. But obviously, like also every other event, every other championship, the priority is the health and safety of the teams and everybody involved in the WRC, and obviously for everybody of the host country. So we are evaluating the situation very carefully with the organizers, with the FIA, and hope for a restart really soon.
Cool. That would be great. That would be good when it happens. So let's talk about WRC All Live first of all. So this is your subscription-based OTT offering for coverage of each rally throughout the season, which adds to WRC Plus, the WRC OTT platform. So first of all, how have both of these platforms been used and affected during the global lockdown? First of all, in terms of content, so without live rallies to show, what have you chosen to give viewers on WRC Plus All Live, and how have you produced that content?
We directly, when we knew some of the next rallies are postponed or cancelled, we came up with a new content plan, a new content concept. The luck what we have at the WRC is our big archive. So we promised our fans and our broadcasters to come up with a new archive program every week. So we select some of our really gold and classic pieces from our history, from our archive. In addition to this, we produce every week some fresh content. So every Friday we release a new program, which is on the one side made out of archive, the best of Rally Argentina, the best of Rally Portugal, but also preview programs with an update, what's happening in the world of rally, what happenings in the world of esports at our WRC 8 competition, what are our drivers doing at home. We've had a big online voting, who's the greatest rally driver of all time. So we also gave a report about this voting challenge with the reactions of the involved drivers, obviously. So yeah, we're trying to do our best and keep some fresh and good and new content for our audience.
And how does that affect your viewing figures, before lockdown, before the pandemic, and since you've been running this new type of content?
To be honest, really good, actually. The fans really appreciate what we're doing. We have a very loyal fan base. They absolutely love the content, what we're offering. So the ratings, the figures are really good, but also our broadcaster really appreciate our programs. And also their ratings are really good. The people are at home. It's very spectacular. It's very good classical content. So our fans as well as the broadcasters really appreciate it, and so are the ratings. So so really positive feedback.
Great. And in terms of learning from what you've created during lockdown, is there any way that you're going to take this content forwards after lockdown? And, you know, is there anything specific you have learned or, you know, developed during this time?
Obviously, one of the big learnings is that we always need to be ready for whatever situation comes up. So we had some, let's say, substitute or backup programs always on hand, but not for such a long period. So what we've been doing and what my teams are doing at the moment is to clean up all our archive, to reproduce some of the classical content, just to have more variety and more programs on hand in case something like this would or will happen again.
Cool. And what sort of, just to set up the idea of, you know, so people understand the kind of conditions that you normally work within in a live environment, I mean, what sort of geographical and broadcasting challenges does WRC face when filming your rallies in all these very, very geographically diverse conditions?
It's a very tough, it's a very challenging production, and it's completely different than let's say a stadium production where you just can go a couple of days before the production. You have pre-cabled fibers everywhere. We have a greenfield production. Where we go, there's basically nothing. And so we start from scratch at every race. And so we have to bring everything. We have to do the whole logistic. And I think the logistic is the biggest challenge what we have at the rally, because the races don't take place in a circuit. They take place all over the place, basically. When we look into races such as Rally GB, where the stages are some days over 200 kilometers away from the service park. At other rallies, some of the stages are on the Friday 100 kilometers north of the service park, and on the Saturday they're 50 kilometers to the south. So the corridor we have to cover is huge. And the teams have a 2-day recce to test and to analyze every stage. And so do we have to do recce's and analysis to really see how we broadcast every stage. And I think that's the biggest logistical challenge what we have, the huge terrain we have to cover at every rally 13 times a year.
Yeah, it's quite a phenomenal feat that you push through. The WRC promoters really turned this sport upside down over the last 3 years. You know, from before you would only produce about 3 hours of coverage live from each weekender, to now you do over 25 hours for each one, plus all the OTT stuff you now do. So let's talk about the changes WRC has implemented, particularly those in May 2019, where it brought all post-production to London. So just for the post, why did it do this and how?
To bring it in a bit of a bigger context, we have started the WRC All Live project, and as you said before, instead of just broadcasting a glimpse of the rally, 3, 4, 5 stages, we broadcast now everything, every stage, every shakedown, every service. So we have an on-site studio. So instead of 3 to 5 hours live, as you said, we're now 25 up to 30 hours live per rally weekend. And this is a lot more content, a lot more data to be transported. So we were looking into a way not to store all those data locally, but to transport the data to a production hub, where we could, from where we can edit and facilitate all those streams. But also we had the difficulty from the beginning on how to bring this stream to our broadcasters. 25 or 30 hours is quite a long time. So we were looking into different possibilities and found a very, very good way with our technical partner Tata Communications to transport all those individual streams to our production house in London, from where we do all our production, our post-production, our highlights, our clips, our news. So this had several advantages now.
Great. And earlier this year, I know things have changed now, but we'll cover that. But earlier this year, we spoke about how WRC Promoter was planning an even bigger push towards remote production for WRC, which was from the third quarter this year to have all of your galleries in London, so live and post, with NEP at Sprockley Park. And then you were planning on doing further testing throughout the year. So latency testing in Finland, Mexico and Argentina. And finally, a culmination of everything to check it really, really works with a complete remote rally test at your New Zealand event. So first of all, why did you decide to do this originally? What was the original plan and, you know, idea behind this?
Obviously, the idea behind it is to produce more efficient. We have to ship less equipment. We have to travel with less people, and the footage is available right away to be processed for all our digital social channels, for our broadcast partners, for our sponsors. It doesn't need to be shipped anywhere. It's just available right away. And as we're doing already kind of a remote production, so also when we're on site, the stages, as I mentioned before, are 200 kilometers away. So it is a sort of remote production already. And if you produce 200 kilometers away or 2000 kilometers away, the difference is not that much. So after testing a bit over a year now with our post-production setup, we've just seen that all the signals go in so clean and so well, and we have almost all isolated signals already in London from wherever we produce. So the step from being remote with our post-production to being completely remote also with our live production is not that big. So that step was always on the table when we designed our live 2 or 3 years ago. We already had this in mind to make it really efficient and sustainable. But also from a technical side, it proved to be possible now. And we thought mid of the season is a good time. So we have enough time to test, as you mentioned before, all the latencies and all other consequences, what this would bring with us. But obviously this has changed now as we've lost a few races, which were very important tests for us. We still want to go down that road, but maybe it will only be a test at 1 or 2 events this year and then go fully remote for next season. We are missing the overseas latency tests, and as the next races most probably will be European ones in the calendar, it would be difficult to directly commit to a remote production, to a full remote production for this season.
Right, yeah, perfectly understandable under the circumstances. And then last question for you, what will the result be of this full remote global production that you're now, you know, planning on adding to your workflow for next year, and how will it improve your OTT content?
The definite improvement is that we have more content, more angles, just a bigger variety for our fans available right away. So in the future, we can expand our offer. We can be more flexible and more creative in putting out clips and and news for our fans around the globe, and especially for our OTT offers. We can offer the fans in the future more content and more varieties of angles and variety of content. So there's a lot possible, and especially for a variety of live content. That's the big advantage. So not to have just linear stream, to have maybe isolated angles or different cameras to choose in the future. This all is possible with this new setup in the future.
Fantastic. I'm sure we're all looking forward to seeing WRC back and kicking up some dust.
Thank you.
Come on, I'm saying, score.